America, land of open highways, freedom, and the endless promise of the road ahead. From the sunlit coasts of California to the mist-covered woods of New England, every mile of asphalt tells a story. But some roads tell darker ones. Places where headlights vanish into fog that wasn't there a moment ago. Where unseen hands brush your shoulder as you drive. Where the silence of the night is broken by screams that should have faded decades ago. Tonight, we're taking a drive you'll never forget. These are the top 5 most haunted roads in America. Each one with its own history, its own restless dead, and its own warning for anyone daring enough to travel after dark. So buckle up, keep your eyes on the rearview mirror. And whatever you do, don't stop. Number 5, Clinton Road, West Milford, New Jersey. We begin in the dense forests of northern New Jersey, where a 10-mile stretch of crumbling asphalt has earned a terrifying reputation. Clinton Road. A lonely stretch of 2-lane asphalt winding through the woods of West Milford, New Jersey, often called the most haunted road in America. And once you hear what happens here, you'll understand why. By day, it's quiet, peaceful. You might even admire the rolling trees and still ponds. Hikers walk the trails. Fishermen cast lines into the reservoir. It looks like any scenic backroad in the Northeast. But once night falls, everything changes. The forest seems to close in. The canopy blocks out the moonlight, creating a tunnel of absolute darkness. And that's when they come out. For decades, travelers have reported headlights appearing behind them, only to vanish without a trace. Bright, blinding headlights that get closer and closer, filling your rearview mirror. You speed up. 60, 70 miles per hour. Your heart pounds. These lights are gaining fast. And then, nothing. No turn-offs. No tire marks. Just gone. As if they were never there at all. But you know what you saw. Your knuckles are white from gripping the wheel. Your shirt is damp with sweat. And when you finally pull over, hands shaking, the road behind you stretches empty. The road is littered with legends. One of the most famous tells of the Ghost Boy Bridge, officially called Clinton Road Bridge. Locals say a child drowned here years ago, some say in the 1960s, others claim much earlier. The details vary, but what happens at the bridge never changes. If you stop your car on the bridge at midnight, turn off your engine, and toss a coin into the water below, that coin won't stay there for long. Count to 10. Some say 13. They say a small, pale hand reaches out from the black water and tosses it back. Sometimes the coin lands on your hood with a metallic ping. Sometimes it appears on your dashboard. Inside your locked car. Those brave enough to look into the water report seeing a small face staring back. Not a reflection, but a face beneath the surface with eyes that follow you. And just before you run, you hear it. A child's voice, wet and gurgling. Will you play with me? And then there are the eyes. Countless drivers claim to have seen pairs of glowing, red eyes watching from the tree line, sometimes animal, sometimes not. They appear 8 to 10 feet off the ground, too high for deer. And they don't scatter when you shine your headlights. They just watch, unwavering, with an intelligence no animal should possess. In 2009, a couple driving at 1 a.m. saw these eyes on both sides of the road. The husband stopped, thinking someone was in trouble. His wife begged him not to get out. He did anyway, grabbing a flashlight. The moment his feet hit pavement, the eyes on the left moved forward, not walking, but gliding several feet above the ground. He jumped back in and sped away. In his mirror, those red eyes stayed fixed in the center of the road, watching him disappear. They never drove Clinton Road again. But perhaps the most disturbing element isn't supernatural at all. In 1983, a park ranger discovered the body of a man dumped near the woods along Clinton Road. The autopsy revealed signs of ritualistic markings, allegedly tied to occult activity. The case made headlines. Investigators found evidence of multiple crimes, and rumors spread of satanic gatherings deep in those woods. The case was never fully solved. But since then, even police refuse to patrol the road alone. Locals have a simple rule: never drive Clinton Road after midnight. Because if you do, you might not be driving alone. And if you see those headlights, or those red eyes, or a small figure in the road, keep driving. Don't stop. Don't slow down. Don't look back. Just keep driving. Number 4, Route 66, the Ghost Stretch, Oklahoma. From the haunted forests of New Jersey, we head west to an American icon. Route 66. The Mother Road of America, a symbol of adventure and freedom, immortalized in songs and movies. For decades, this highway stretched from Chicago to Los Angeles, carrying families and dreamers across the heartland. But somewhere in Oklahoma, one forgotten stretch of it holds a story few will ever forget. This section, about 60 miles west of Oklahoma City, was decommissioned when the interstate system was built. Now it sits abandoned, cracked and overgrown, with rusted guardrails and faded yellow lines. Most maps don't show it anymore. But it's still there. And so are they. Back in the 1950s, a young couple was driving to California. Their names were Thomas and Eleanor Harmon, Tom and Ellie. Newlyweds, barely 20, with all their possessions packed in a blue Chevy Bel Air. Tom had landed a job at an aircraft factory in Los Angeles. They were starting fresh. They never made it. Their car veered off the road one rainy night and plunged into a ravine. The skid marks suggested Tom tried to brake, tried to regain control. Maybe the rain made the road slick. Maybe a tire blew. Or maybe they swerved to avoid something in the road, something that shouldn't have been there. For days, no one found them. The wreck was hidden by thick brush at the ravine bottom. By the time a passing motorist spotted chrome glinting in sunlight and called authorities, both had died, still holding hands in the front seat. The coroner estimated they survived the initial crash. They died slowly, trapped, unable to escape, calling for help that never came. Together until the very end. Now, drivers report seeing an old, 1950s blue Chevy Bel Air slowly cruising that section of Route 66. It appears suddenly in your rearview mirror, chrome bumper reflecting your taillights, rounded hood unmistakable. The kind of car you'd see in a museum, completely out of place on this forgotten road. Its headlights flicker in your rearview mirror, getting closer. You check your speed, 50, 60 miles per hour. This car should pass. But it just stays there, following every turn. And if you pull over to let it pass, it never does. You sit on the shoulder, engine idling, watching your mirrors. The Chevy should drive past any second. But the road stays empty. You wait 1 minute. 2, 5. Nothing. When you step out to look, the road stretches empty in both directions. No headlights. No engine sounds. Just wind through overgrown grass and the distant cry of a night bird. Some say if you drive that same stretch after midnight, you'll see two figures standing on the side of the road, drenched from the rain, even on clear nights. A young man in a white shirt. A young woman in a pale blue dress. Both soaking wet, as if they just climbed from a river. They try to flag you down, waving frantically, desperately. But if you stop to help them, they vanish before you reach them. One witness pulled over, feeling sorry for what looked like a stranded couple. He called out, "Do you need help?" The young man stepped toward his car, face pale and drawn in the headlights. Water dripped from his hair. His eyes were wide, pleading. The young man opened his mouth to speak, and all that came out was the sound of rushing water, like a flooded river crashing through a gorge. The witness slammed on the gas and never looked back. One trucker recalled passing that same spot at exactly 2:17 a.m. He'd just checked his watch, calculating his delivery time. He was alone in the cab, country music playing softly, when suddenly the music cut to static. He glanced at his passenger side mirror. He said he saw a couple's faces reflected there, sitting in his passenger seat. A young man and woman, soaking wet, staring ahead with hollow, desperate eyes. He could see every detail. Water dripping from their hair. Clothes clinging to skin. The slight blue tint to their lips. He jerked his head to look directly. Empty. He looked back at the mirror. Still there, silent and still. The radio crackled back to life. They were gone. He hasn't driven Route 66 at night since. He won't even talk about it, except to warn other truckers, stay on the interstate. Don't take the old road. And for God's sake, don't stop if you see anyone on the shoulder. Because Tom and Ellie are still looking for help. Still trying to flag down someone who can save them. Still trapped in that moment between life and death, forever calling out on a dark, rainy night, waiting for someone to finally hear them. Number 3, Prospectors Road, Georgetown, California. From the flat plains of Oklahoma, we climb into the Sierra Nevada foothills, where gold fever drove men to madness and murder. Prospectors Road, deep in the gold country of California. A place where greed, murder, and regret left their marks long ago, marks that refused to fade. Georgetown was a booming mining town during the gold rush of the mid-1800s. Thousands of men poured into these hills with pickaxes and pans, dreaming of striking it rich. Most found nothing but back-breaking work and disappointment. But a lucky few discovered veins of gold that could set them up for life. And when word got out, that's when things turned dangerous. During the gold rush of the mid-1800s, this dirt path, now barely maintained, more hiking trail than actual road, was a bustling route for miners heading to their claims. It was isolated, winding through dense forest, far from any law enforcement. The perfect place for an ambush. The story goes that one prospector, Josiah Crawford, found a particularly rich vein of gold in summer 1852. He was quiet, cautious, working his claim alone for months with little to show. Then one day, everything changed. He struck a vein so rich that in a single afternoon, he pulled out more gold than most miners found in a year. He should have kept quiet. He should have sold his gold discreetly. But Josiah was lonely. He'd been alone in those hills too long. So that night, he went to town and made the mistake of bragging about it at the local tavern. He bought drinks for everyone. He showed off a nugget the size of a chicken egg. He talked about his vein, how deep it went, how much gold was still there. Men watched with hollow eyes and calculating smiles. They bought him more whiskey. They asked questions about exactly where his claim was, how far from town, whether he had partners. He never made it home. 3 men followed him from the tavern that night, up into the hills along what's now Prospectors Road. They jumped him about 2 miles from town, where the path narrowed between boulders. There was a struggle. Josiah fought back. He was a big man, strong from hard labor. But 3 against 1, with surprise on their side. They took everything. His gold. His map. His tools. They left him bleeding on the roadside, still alive but badly wounded. As they walked away, laughing and dividing their stolen fortune, Josiah used his last breath to shout a curse. "You'll never spend a penny. This gold is mine, mine. And I'll see you in hell before you profit from my blood." The story gets darker. None of those 3 men made it off the mountain that night. One fell down a mineshaft that locals swear wasn't there the day before. The second was found 3 days later, dead from exposure on a mild summer night. The third simply disappeared. His body was never found. And Josiah's gold? It vanished too. Despite extensive searching, no one ever found his claim. Ever since, travelers report hearing a voice whisper from the darkness, "Get off my claim." Sometimes, it's so close you can feel the breath on your neck. Cold, dead breath that smells of earth and decay. The voice is hoarse, as if the speaker's been shouting for a very long time, throat raw and damaged. It's filled with rage. Burning, eternal fury at being robbed of everything. The whisper comes when you're alone on the trail. When dusk falls and shadows grow long. Sometimes you'll hear it just once. But if you don't leave immediately, it gets louder. More insistent. More threatening. "Get off my claim." Locals tell of one modern hiker, a geology student from Sacramento, who ignored the warnings. He'd heard the stories but didn't believe in ghosts. He was a man of science. In October 2015, he hiked Prospectors Road at dusk to photograph the area. He set up his camera on a tripod, shooting an old mine entrance, when he heard it. "Get off my claim." He laughed it off. Probably wind. He kept shooting. The whisper came again, closer. Angrier. "This is my claim." Temperature dropped. He could see his breath. His fully charged camera battery died. Light was fading fast, faster than it should. He said he felt an icy grip around his arm and a shove so violent it threw him into the ditch. He tumbled 6 feet down, landing hard enough to knock the wind from his lungs. When he stood up, dizzy and terrified, there were no footprints, except his own. No one else on the trail. No explanation for what pushed him with such force. He left his $1,000 camera behind and ran. He refuses to go back for it. To this day, even seasoned locals won't walk Prospectors Road after sundown. Park rangers report similar experiences, sudden cold spots, the feeling of being watched, and yes, that terrible whisper on the wind. Because somewhere out there, a ghost still guards his gold, and he doesn't take kindly to trespassers. Josiah Crawford died protecting his claim, and death hasn't changed his determination. If anything, it's made him stronger, angrier, more territorial. If you ever find yourself on Prospector's Road as the sun sets, listen carefully. If you hear that whisper, don't argue. Don't investigate. Don't be brave. Just leave. Because Josiah has already killed for his gold once before. And in death, he has nothing left to lose. Number 2, The Devil's Promenade, Hornet, Missouri. Now we travel to southwestern Missouri, to a place where science ends and mystery begins. The Devil's Promenade. A quiet road near the small town of Hornet, Missouri, population barely over 100, known for a phenomenon that's baffled scientists for over a century. They call it the Hornet Spook Light. A glowing orb that floats, drifts, and dances above the road at night. Chasing cars, hovering near treetops, and disappearing the moment anyone approaches. It's been seen by thousands of witnesses since the 1880s, possibly earlier. Locals say it's the ghostly lantern of a miner searching for his lost family. According to legend, a miner was working late when he heard wolves near his homestead miles away where his wife and children waited. He grabbed his lantern and ran home through darkness, following the wagon trail that would become the Devil's Promenade. He arrived to find his cabin burned and his family gone, taken by raiders, killed by wolves, or simply vanished. Driven mad by grief, he spent the rest of his life walking that road every night, swinging his lantern, searching, calling their names, hoping to find them alive. He died still searching. And his lantern never went out. Others insist it's the soul of a decapitated Native American warrior, wandering the plains, eternally searching for his head. Without his head, his spirit cannot rest. So he walks the old trails, carrying a light to guide his way. But some say it's something older. Something not human at all. People who've encountered the light describe an overwhelming sense of dread. It starts as curiosity, look, something glowing. But when the light seems to notice them, seems to turn its attention toward them, everything changes. The air grows heavy. Breathing becomes difficult. Deep, primal fear takes hold, the same fear our ancestors felt hearing a predator's growl in darkness. Every instinct screams run. Some claim their car engines stall the moment it appears, their headlights flicker, radios crackle with static, and the air turns icy cold even on warm nights. Electronics go haywire. Cell phones shut down. Cameras malfunction. One eyewitness, a state trooper, described watching the orb drift right up to his patrol car window one night in 2003. He was parked on the roadside, filling out paperwork, when he noticed the light approaching. At first he thought it was another vehicle, but as it got closer, he realized it wasn't moving like any car. It floated about 4 feet off the ground, roughly basketball-sized, glowing with orange-yellow light that pulsed rhythmically, like a heartbeat. As it approached, his radio started cutting in and out, bursts of static mixed with what sounded like distant voices in languages he didn't recognize. The orb came right up to his driver's window and hovered there, inches from the glass. He could feel heat radiating from it, though later he found no burn marks on his car. He couldn't look away, couldn't move. He felt paralyzed, transfixed. And then, as he leaned closer, it blinked once. Like an eye closing and opening. The light dimmed completely for a fraction of a second, then brightened. And then vanished. Instantly. Not fading away. Just gone, as if someone flipped a switch. He sat in his car for 20 minutes before feeling calm enough to drive. He filed an official report, though he knew how it sounded. He's not the only officer to encounter it. Several Missouri Highway Patrol troopers have reported similar experiences. The light still appears today, almost every night. Some nights it's bright and active, darting around playfully. Other nights it's dim and slow, drifting lazily. And some nights, it's aggressive, chasing cars at high speeds, pursuing them for miles before vanishing. And those who've seen it say it's not just watching. It's waiting. Waiting for what? No one knows. But there's a reason this road is called the Devil's Promenade. Because whatever walks here, whatever that light truly is, it doesn't feel like something that wishes humans well. The Army Corps of Engineers investigated in 1946 and concluded the light is of unknown origin. That's the official position. Unknown. Unexplained. Unexplainable. If you ever drive through southwestern Missouri on a dark night and see a glowing orb above the road, here's the advice from locals. Don't stop. Don't chase it. And whatever you do, don't try to get close. Because the spook light has been here for over a century, and it will be here long after we're gone. It's patient. It's persistent. And it's always watching. Number 1, Route 375, the Extraterrestrial Highway, Nevada. And now, our final destination, where the unknown takes on a whole new meaning. Route 375 in Nevada, better known as the Extraterrestrial Highway. A desolate ribbon of asphalt cutting through the Mojave Desert, stretching 98 miles through absolute nothingness, shadowed by the secrets of Area 51. By day, it's empty, miles of sand, sagebrush, and silence. You can drive for an hour without seeing another car, another person, another sign of civilization. Just you and endless desert under a merciless sun. But at night, that silence turns oppressive. The darkness becomes absolute, broken only by your headlights and the impossible brilliance of stars overhead. Because here, under the endless black sky, the lights you see above you might not be stars. For decades, travelers have reported strange aircraft hovering low over the road. Completely silent, moving against the wind. Triangular craft with lights at each corner. Disc-shaped objects are rotating slowly. Massive vehicles the size of football fields, floating impossibly without visible propulsion. These aren't distant lights that can be easily explained away. These are close encounters, objects close enough to see details, close enough to cast shadows, close enough to feel displaced air. One witness, Sarah Chen, a nurse driving from Las Vegas to Rachel, Nevada, described seeing a massive triangular craft hovering directly over the highway in 2018. Around 2 a.m., she came around a bend, and suddenly there it was, maybe 200 feet above the road, blocking out stars. She said it was the size of a commercial airliner, perfectly triangular, with dim white lights at each corner and a brighter red light in the center. It made absolutely no sound. She slowed down, rolled down her window, and heard nothing but the sound of her engine and the desert wind. The craft hovered for maybe 30 seconds. She felt completely paralyzed with fear, a profound realization that she was witnessing something that shouldn't exist, something that challenged everything she knew. Then, Without warning, it shot straight up so fast she could barely track the movement. One moment it was there, the next it was a pinpoint indistinguishable from stars, then gone. She drove home in shock. When she tried to report it, the person on the phone seemed unsurprised, almost bored. They took her information and said someone might follow up. No one ever did. But sightings are only part of what makes Route 375 unsettling. Others describe waking up hours later, parked in the same spot, unable to remember why they stopped. They'll check the clock, it says 3:17 a.m. But the last thing they remember, it was midnight. 3 hours gone. Simply gone. No memory of pulling over, of turning off the engine, of sitting there for 3 hours in darkness. These missing time events are reported with disturbing frequency. People suddenly come to as if waking from a dream, disoriented, confused, sometimes with physical symptoms, headaches, nausea, nosebleeds. Sometimes they find evidence they've moved, their car is facing the opposite direction, or they're miles from where they last remember being. And then there are the voices. Radio frequencies cutting in with whispers, distorted and unintelligible, yet somehow directed right at you. The whispers come through static, clear enough to tell their voices but too distorted to make out words. Sometimes they sound mechanical. Other times distinctly human, but speaking languages that don't match anything on Earth. One truck driver recounted seeing a tall, pale figure standing in the middle of the highway around 4 a.m. Marcus Washington was hauling electronics from Los Angeles to Salt Lake City, running behind schedule, tired and ready for this leg to be over. He came over a rise, and his headlights illuminated a figure in the center of his lane, completely motionless. At first he thought it was a person, maybe someone whose car broke down. But as he got closer, something seemed wrong. It was too tall, maybe 7 feet, maybe taller. Proportions weren't quite right, arms too long, head too large. And it was pale, so pale it almost seemed to glow in his headlights, like it was luminescent. Marcus slammed on his brakes and swerved, his trailer fishtailing, tires screaming. He managed to regain control, heart pounding. He pulled over, grabbed his flashlight, and got out to check if he'd hit anything. When he looked back, it was gone. But on the passenger window, a single, hand-shaped smear glowed faintly under the starlight. Local law says the government knows what's really happening out there. Area 51 is only 25 miles away, after all. Of course they know. How could they not? But the truth? Maybe the road itself is a doorway. A thin place where boundaries between our world and somewhere else grow permeable. Where things slip through, moving between dimensions or realities or whatever lies beyond our perception. So if you ever find yourself on Route 375, remember this. Keep your doors locked and don't stop for anything or anyone. Because on Route 375, the difference between a stranded motorist and something else entirely might be impossible to tell until it's too late. You've now traveled across America's most haunted roads. From the misty woods of New Jersey to the barren deserts of Nevada, each one carries its own history and its own restless spirits. They say the road connects us all, to the past, to each other, to the unknown. But after tonight's journey, maybe you'll think twice before taking a midnight drive alone. Maybe you'll check your rearview mirror a little more often. Maybe those stories your grandparents told about the old roads weren't just folklore. Maybe they were warnings. The next time you're driving late at night, and something doesn't feel right, remember what you learned here. Sometimes the road takes you where you need to go. And sometimes, the road has other plans. So tell us, which of these haunted highways would you dare to travel? Or would you rather keep your headlights off and your doors locked tight until morning? If these stories sent a chill down your spine, give this video a thumbs up and share it with a friend who loves a good scare. And don't forget to subscribe to Ghostly Tales and tap that notification bell, so you never miss another journey into the dark. Until next time, sleep well, if you can.